Hey everyone, Bridget here. We are just going to be doing some lifting threads on my patient. She has never had any lifting threads before, so we're very excited to see her results. We're going to be doing the 3-vector lift across her cheek area and then 1 vector across her jawline to really snatch everything. As you saw a little bit ago, I was numbing with some lidocaine right at the site where I'm creating my pilot hole. So right now I am just going in with an 18 gauge needle to kind of create those tracks where I'm going to be going in with my lidocaine and then later in with my thread. So now I am going in with my cannula and some extra lidocaine to numb the entire track so that she's really comfortable throughout the entire procedure. I'm always making sure that my depth is really great in that subdermal plane so that we don't have any superficial areas of thread poking through, and to make sure we're also not too deep. As you can see, this nasolabial fold area can be a little difficult to get through just because of that little dip that happens once you cross over into the cheek and then down into the nasolabial fold. So always making sure that my depth is in the correct place. And now the next vector that I'm going through is going to lift the oral commissure and marionette lines. The one after that will then lift the jowl. As you can see, there's a red X kind of along her jawline. That is just marking her antegonial notch, which her facial artery and vein come through there. And it's very important to try to avoid that as much as possible, or else she will get a huge hematoma. Obviously, there is some swelling and bruising with this procedure. However, we don't want to create a huge hematoma to where she can't do her normal daily activities. Essentially, what these threads are going to do is they're going to go into that correct plane. Eventually, over time, they're going to start breaking down. So they're really going to integrate into that tissue over the next few weeks and months. They'll eventually break down, create collagen and elastin in its place. So that lift is just going to get better over time. The really nice thing about these VSoft threads is you get a great immediate result, and they just continue to get better and better over time. So I'm going in with my last vector of lidocaine here, and I'm going to start on my threads. So this thread is a molded thread, and we are just going to be going into that space that we created with our lidocaine track. So I'm going to make sure every few millimeters that I'm in the correct depth, and really making sure in that difficult nasolabial fold area that I'm really pressing down on the tip of that cannula to get it to the depth that I want. So I'm just going to continue along here. We are past that nasolabial fold, so we are going to really exaggerate up and then go ahead and pull our cannula out, leaving the thread behind. Next, I'm going to be lifting the marionette line oral commissure area with the second vector. So again, making sure my depth is in the correct plane. And I'm really going to make sure that once I get past that marionette line to exaggerate up, as this was her biggest problem area. So again, I'm just going to go past the deficit. So we are going to go past that oral commissure marionette line, exaggerate up, and pull our cannula out. Next, we are going to go in targeting that jowl. She also really does not like her jowls, so that was the main reason we did this, but just look how lifted the corner of her mouth looks, and her nasolabial fold already looks so improved to what it was before she came in. Again, just exaggerating that tissue up, and as you can see, that jowl is already so improved from that one thread in that one area. So next we are going to then numb our jawline thread. So I just did where I'm going to be doing my track and creating my pilot hole. So there's some lidocaine there for her, so it's pretty comfortable. Again, making sure my depth is great, and you can already see that great lift as that line is now curved versus before it was straight across. After creating my pilot hole, I'm going to again go in with my cannula and some extra lidocaine. So we are going to be going through there and creating our track for the thread, just as we did in the other 3 vectors. This area is really important to make sure we are not hitting that antegonial notch area with that facial artery. So really making sure that we're at the right depth. It does get a little difficult here around the mouth area just because there are some ligaments there. So once you get through there, it's much easier to continue your track. So I'm just going in with my last thread here, creating that track that I did with that lidocaine. So I'm just easily sliding in there, making sure I'm trying to avoid that antegumental notch with her facial artery because I don't want her to get this hematoma. It does get a little difficult getting through there, like I said, with some ligaments, but just continue to push through and you should get it through pretty easily. Again, over exaggerate that jawline and that leaving that thread behind. Next, we are just going to be doing some like smoothing of the area. Sometimes when you put these threads in, it can cause a little bit of dimpling, and that thread just needs to be engaged with the tissue. So that's just what I'm doing here. And I'm putting pretty firm pressure on these areas because you really want it to pop into the correct space. Again, just smoothing along here, and you can already tell she is so lifted on this side and she was so excited for the results. Once we did sit her up though, we noticed that this side was still a little bit lower than her right side. So we are going to go in with a 4th thread here. She's already numb from all of that lidocaine, but I'm basically just going to be going into that jowl area once again and doing the exact same thing I did before, really over exaggerating this time and pulling that thread out. And once we sat her up this time, it looked so much better by adding that 1 extra thread. So I'm going to go along and smooth that thread to really engage it. And we went ahead and cut very close to the skin those threads because we want them to basically disappear into that hole that we created with all of our tracks. So again, I'm just going through and smoothing, making sure all those threads are inside of her skin now so that we don't have any threads kind of poking out. And I'm going to be doing the exact same thing on the jawline, so I will be trimming very close to the skin and smoothing out also. You may still have some dimpling at the skin, and that's okay. We try to smooth that as much as we can. It will eventually settle into the correct tissue and space. She might just get these little zingers, like we like to call them, where it's basically just like a little jab. It's not really pain, it's more of just a shock. And we always make sure to educate our patient about that just so that they're prepared when they do feel that. And I'm just having my assistant Jill, she is an NP here with us, and she is just trying to see if she can smooth that out a little bit more, which you can see it's a little bit improved after she put her magic touch to it. Lifting threads can truly change somebody's face, and a lot of patients say that it's life-changing after they get this. And I just think it's so great we can help our patients do that. Thanks so much for watching this video.